And we are live, NBA Live Before Lock, Showdown Slate Edition. Only one game today. I am Josh Engleman. You guys know my guest as Rayen Patnaik. I know him as Ryan. Ryan, what's going on, man? I think this is our first show together. Am I wrong?
Yeah, this is definitely our first show together. Excited to be on with you, Josh, and looking forward to talking about this exciting one-game Showdown slate, single game on FanDuel. But excited to the next 40 minutes or so just dive into the rotation and talk about what's happening with the Lakers and Rockets.
Yeah, I love this series. It's just such a dichotomy in styles, so it's always a fun watch. Rockets going to be a little shorthanded today. Once again, Daniel House is going to be out with a case of trying to get some nookie during quarantine for himself. So can't be grabbing those coronavirus testers and bringing them into your room, apparently.
Yeah, I got to give him A for effort on that. That's like he thought outside the box and took his shot, but he might have cost himself the rest of the playoffs, probably a paycheck, maybe a spot on the team.
Yeah, you got to sneak them in like one of the Disney costumes, like dress her up as Goofy or Minnie Mouse or something, sneak them in. They'll never notice.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm really curious on what's going to happen. Do you have any inclination on like his future in the bubble? Is he going to be kicked out, or is it going to be up in the air?
I don't know. I don't particularly know like the logistics of it. I don't know if he did like this is like worse than just bringing someone in. Like there was, some not good stuff happening behind the closed doors. If this is just simply a COVID issue, if there was ever any communication that people cannot enter your room. I don't know enough about those details. I'm hoping that it's just he wasn't supposed to bring somebody in there and two people had an excellent time together and that's it.
I actually don't think it's just two. I think Tyson Chandler was also somehow involved because he was not on the bench. He was also like not. He only played those untimed minutes in the OKC game when Donovan called him to shoot those two free throws.
Yeah,
but he was not. He's also not with the team. I want to say so. Go. You can think outside the box. What happened behind closed doors between those two or three? Who knows?
Tyson Chandler getting. Good for him, I guess. Well, anyway, we've got actual basketball to talk about. Slowly but surely getting some people to come in the door. Got about 175 people in here now. Hit that thumbs up as you get here. We've got a ton to talk about, and I think we just need to dive in and talk about the game a little bit first. We'll talk about some Showdown logistics and then take some questions. How's that sound to you?
Yeah, sounds good to me. I mean, Showdown's a different beast in its own animal. I mean, unfortunately, where the game is set up, the puzzle set up, there are going to be ties, and hopefully we can lead you in a path where you're unique enough where you don't land in a tie.
Yeah, and it's even trickier during the playoffs because it's so rare that you see like randos from the end of the bench really getting into games unless, I mean, it's got to be like a 40-point blowout for you to really empty the bench.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
what's it going to take for Houston to play something other than 8 guys?
Yeah. And even if 8 guys get the rotation today, that's like also up in the air. I mean, last time they tried it with McLemore, and we'll get to McLemore in a bit, where he's $1,000 I want to see on DraftKings, and a lot of people are talking about him. I wouldn't shock me. I don't expect him. He did not look good on the court when he was on there. No. Those 10 minutes might be 0 today, somewhere less than that. Who knows? That's the game of the one. That's how the one game slates go.
Yeah, I guess we should touch on that a little bit. So obviously, House being out, ignoring the jokes that I can make ad nauseum for the next 35 minutes. We have like 30 minutes to fill. They have played one game since then. McLemore got a little bit of additional run. Jeff Green picked up a decent chunk of those minutes. Do you expect it to look mostly like the last game? Jeff Green playing around 30 minutes, probably about 10 for McLemore. That's the way that I'm treating it as of right now.
Yeah, I saw Jeff Green up to 35 last time. Robert Covington just got knocked out by Anthony Davis's elbow. Yeah. So, and he ended up with a bloody nose and severe, lots and lots of bleeding on that floor. I expect something similar to that. I expect Covington to get those extra few minutes that he missed out on. I expect him, hopefully, to be okay. I mean, the Rockets are going to need him, every bit of him, to somehow win this game today. I expect those minutes to look like that. Maybe those McLemore minutes get sprinkled a little around if they decide to cut his, but it's safe to, I guess, say he gets around that 8 to 10 minute range right now. But it's D'Antoni. I wouldn't shock me if he would just cut his minutes today.
Well, let's talk about Macklemore then, because I think we need to talk about what is the elephant in the showdown room. We currently have him projected for 40% ownership on DraftKings. He is the flat minimum. He is the only flat minimum guy that I have projected to play today in this game. $1,000 in the non-captain spot, $1,500 in the captain spot. We're not really projecting ownership in that regard, but what do you do with a guy like Macklemore for only $1,000?
It depends on how risky and what your obviously if your goal is to take it down. Macklemore he just makes things fit, right? He lets you get all the studs in and makes a lineup look pretty outside of him. And now it depends on how much of the field is going to go there. For me, if it's like going to be half the field that ends up doing that, which I don't expect to happen, these showdown ownerships get pretty out of hand really fast. Yeah. And there's a good chance he doesn't get he played 10 minutes last time. He had 2 fantasy points, right? I don't think 2 fantasy points is enough again, and I don't think he'll get 2 fantasy points again. But for me, it's a high risk, high reward type of play. But the reward is like you kind of are holding hands with a lot of the field. I feel like there's a common build with Macklemore in there that a lot of people are going to go to.
Yeah, like if he really is going to be 40% owned, I'd rather just spend $1,200 more and take Austin Rivers.
100%. I can't agree with you more on there. Also, I think Markieff Morris is also $3,200. He's taken all the Dwight Howard minutes and then some, and the JaVale McGee minutes as well. I mean, he's played 23 minutes, and 23 minutes for a guy at $3,200 on a single game slate. It works. But don't get me wrong, Macklemore can play 10 minutes, hit 4 threes, and boom, there you have it. So that's definitely can happen. But I just after what I saw after one game, I'm definitely have my biases towards not trying to find a way to get Macklemore in there right now.
Yeah, I was really, really surprised to see how high his ownership was, just given what's around him. Just the comparison point to Rivers was the big one for me. Just seeing that Rivers is slightly more expensive, but massively less owned.
Yeah.
To me, that's just the easier way to go in a GPP scenario.
Especially in a one-game slate, and Rivers had that upside in that first game. He played really well. So it's definitely possible yet again to do that. And Rivers has been in the rotation all year long, consistently played whatever those 8 to 10, 12 minutes. Westbrook or Harden could get in foul trouble. He could get some more minutes. There are definitely more avenues for me, what I'm seeing right now, where Austin Rivers can succeed than Ben Macklemore.
How are you feeling about, so we're talking about Macklemore right now. We've been talking about Rivers. Let's just stick to the Rockets. How do you feel about Harden and Westbrook at the top? Do you have a lean towards either one of those guys?
Obviously, there's this big salary difference and whatnot. And up until last game, even in last game, I was expecting Westbrook to come get things around. He struggled in that game 3 that was where they were just letting him wide open, like just giving him a red carpet, and he just didn't know what to do with it. It was like he was never seen that before, and he struggled seeing that red carpet. I like playing Westbrook just because I saw what they're doing to Harden down the stretch. They're kind of doubling him as soon as he catches that ball. Yeah. And that just gives Westbrook more of an opportunity to pay off that price tag, finding him paying off that captain price tag as well. In Showdown, it's really important to get that captain right. Otherwise, you're not going to have a chance to win. And Westbrook makes for a fine captain. Don't get me wrong, Harden could find a way to put up 80 fantasy points and be the captain as well. But I'm more inclined to have more Westbrook shares at the captain spot than Harden right now.
Who are you expecting to be your most owned captain? I'm going to go out on a limb and assume it's LeBron or AD.
Yeah, it's Anthony Davis right now.
Same.
Fun fact. I was looking back at the box scores. Anthony Davis has yet to outscore LeBron James in this series in terms of DraftKings fantasy points. And when you're watching the game, it doesn't feel like for me, it didn't feel like that. Obviously, LeBron had a ton of blocks in this series. So I'm going to go, I don't know, it's not going on a limb, but I do think Anthony Davis will have a game in this series where he outscores LeBron in terms of fantasy points. And I don't see why not today.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit more AD at the captain spot than I do LeBron. I make up for that a bit with significantly more LeBron ownership in the non-captain section. AD quite a bit less. I am very minimal on James Harden, though. He is only in 2 of my 150 lineups with him at the captain spot. Makes me a little nervous.
Is there a reason why it's just 2? It's just the way it's playing out for you right now?
So I have him just so far behind LeBron and AD from an odds of being the top captain option that he's just simply getting removed as I start to filter my lineups.
Okay.
The 18-6, like him being $1,200 more expensive than Anthony Davis is like, that's a pretty big chunk of change. If that means that I just have to, and another big piece of this is that I have very little Ben McLemore. That is one of the key pieces I'm getting to try to be at least slightly different if we really do believe he's going to be 40% owned. So by bringing him down, that's a little bit less salary savings. AD is just slightly easier to fit in as well, being $1,200 cheaper.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. And Anthony, that salary difference is a pretty big difference. It lets you it helps you upgrade from those Kentavious Caldwell Popes or Kentavious Pope, the way Barkley says it, to potentially a Covington or a Gordon where the upside is just higher. And that salary really does help out in that particular scenario.
I saw the boss man in chat a couple seconds ago. I'm hoping he can hear this. I think we might need an ownership run. PJ Tucker on DK is looking lower than I would expect. And I just want to see if that number rises. PJ Tucker at 1.8% in the utility spot feels a tad low.
In the utility spot, yeah, that seems a little too low right now. I want to say
that would be problematic for me if he really is 2% owned, because that's just going to leverage push PJ Tucker to the top of everything for me.
Yeah, he did only have 8 fantasy points after scoring above 40 the game before, but that's PJ Tucker for you. I mean, shout out to Twitter. Joey, PJ Tucker is his favorite player. He might name his child after him, but PJ Tucker is just one of those guys who you got to just embrace the variance with him. On a showdown slate, I don't mind going back to him after 8 points. That's where you really take advantage of the recency bias in a showdown slate and just DFS in general.
Yeah, I will have no problem going to him. I go to him too often when it's not like the playoffs and he's locked in and playing better. It never feels good, but it really feels great on the days where it works out. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's so few and far between that when you get him right, you feel like $1 million.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys. Any reason, I guess, can you get too cute on this one game slate playing JaVale McGee in 7 minutes? He might put 3 putback dunks, and that might be enough, right?
I have more than I would be happy to tell people that I have, but it's mostly just because of Ben McLemore's ownership. There's only so much you could grab at the bottom. And if McLemore's at 40 and Rivers and McGee are at 4, I'm just going to naturally have more than McGee and Rivers in a showdown scenario. That's all that it comes down to it for me. He's not high enough price that I'd be super worried about it. And obviously, JaVale McGee in, let's say, 8 minutes and Ben McLemore in 8 minutes are very different per minute fantasy performers.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. JaVale McGee in 8 minutes, he has 20-point upside. It's just who he is.
The problem we have is this. The starting lineup for the Los Angeles Lakers: LeBron, Caldwell Pope, Green, Morris, Davis. JaVale McGee not starting. Do you think JaVale McGee plays?
I had very few shares. I'm okay not playing him right now, but one guy I guess I have to bump up is Markieff Morris now. I mean, yeah, at 3,200. I mean, what are you going to project him in terms of minutes? If he played 23 last time, do you think he cracks 27, 28, almost 30 minutes now? 30 minutes of Markieff Morris?
At the very least, I think 26 is safe. And in the grand scheme of things, it probably doesn't matter whether you project him for 26 or 30. Yeah. He just skyrockets.
Now at $3,200, let's look at these other options around that area. You have Kentavious Pope at 3,600. Alex Caruso at 4,000. I'm going to have to prefer Markieff Morris than both of those right now.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see Markieff Morris from a projection standpoint, from a value standpoint, from an ownership standpoint. Everything related to Markieff Morris is going to fly through the roof right now. Now that he's,
and I'm willing to get over the field just because I feel more safe doing that.
Do we think that Morris soaks up a little bit of that McLemore ownership, or does McLemore just kind of hold tight there? Morris, $2,200 more expensive on DraftKings.
I think a little bit. A little bit has to go. People are going to find more intriguing builds. Hopefully, I don't know how much Markieff Morris's captain ownership is going to get up to, but I don't mind taking a shot or here or there. 150. There's, it's a pretty good captain option. It lets you fit in some other studs. I am currently taking a look on what that might do right now. So. But there's a name that we haven't mentioned yet who has played like Steph Curry and like a combination of like Chauncey Billups' defense in Rajon Rondo, who I don't understand right now. It's really shocking to me. He in the last two games, he's put up 37 and 39. Both games he missed a double-double with an assist.
Yeah, I didn't think that was possible. By the way, him being good.
Yeah, and I don't expect him to go for 8 of 11 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. I'm going to be under the field. I know the minutes are real, but I would take my chances on Rondo not getting 23.5 usage last time out. He's just been a monster. He's won them the 2 games in the fourth quarter. It's been him that's kind of taken over the game.
Yeah, we had him at 14% ownership in the captain spot. I have 2% right now. All of this is subject to change with the Morris updates. And then we had Rondo projected for 49% in the utility spot. I was coming in at 37. I don't want to avoid him or anything. He has looked really good for the Lakers, but I am more likely to be light on Rondo. At some point in time, I expect him to turn back into a pumpkin or whatever that phrase is. That means that he starts being bad again.
Now, this is an interesting thing. With no McGee, does Kuzma become the immediate backup center? He's priced at 5,400 on DraftKings. He has played 24 minutes. He played 24, 21 minutes, 28 in that first game. He's someone in those minutes. He shot really well last time out and 2 times out, 7 to 10, 6 to 7. So he doesn't really pick up that many peripherals and steals and blocks for his length. And he's liability on defense. But what's your Kyle Kuzma ownership look like now, and what do you think it might change to?
I don't get the sense that this affects Kuzma all that much. Mm-hmm. I think their main goal is simply just how many minutes can we play someone at center before AD is like, okay, that's enough. I'll play center now. So I think the 48 minutes go between those two. I wouldn't be surprised to see a JaVale rotation at some point in time. I wish they were playing Dwight Howard for a rotation. I think he's the better option. That just doesn't happen, unfortunately. But for right now, let's see. What did I have prior to? I had 20% Kuzma. So I was actually heavier on Kuzma than the field. But that was mostly just because, again, the field was at 6%. And more than anything in a showdown slate, I need to try to get at least a little bit more unique. And that's a spot where you wouldn't be surprised if Kuzma played more minutes, but I'm not necessarily confident in his median outcome.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. And he's also one of those guys who is not very consistent when he's out there. He could put up easily 6 fantasy points, or he could put up 16 or 20. Or I think for Kuzma's price tag, you're going to have somehow, he needs to see 30 to really make your lineup stand out potentially. But at his ownership, that's what's standing out to me right now.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to run another crunch.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting what comes up. Yeah, I'm definitely getting some Markieff Morris captain shares, a lot more than about 20 minutes ago, but I don't mind it right now. Going back to his minutes, I'm in the high 20s now.
Yeah, I'm at 27 right now.
I don't expect him to get much usage when you're sharing the court with LeBron and Anthony Davis. So
no.
Yeah.
He's going to need to just have open looks and knock them down like he did in game 3, whatever game he was 4 for 4 from 3 in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I think if Alex is around, he might have done a projections update, which is a free content of the day. So you should definitely check that out. That's probably the most powerful tool right now with 20 minutes left to go. in all of DFS. So
it is. It absolutely is.
I think producer Jordan might drop the link in the YouTube chat. So keep an eye on that. So.
And I would be remiss if I didn't talk at least a little bit about our presenting sponsor for this show. That would be No House Advantage. I actually signed up at No House Advantage today. Made my deposit flawless. Took a look at some of the props. There's still a bunch of open contests right now. Their biggest contest for the NBA slate, $1,000 guaranteed, only 49% full. So if you're trying to get in that, you have 18 minutes. And what you're doing is picking props. You're not picking individual plays. It's not, LeBron's fantasy points. It's over under LeBron's points, over under LeBron's assists, over under LeBron's rebounds potentially. But what you want to do is rank your favorite props. So if you think that, let me pull up LeBron's points prop just to make sure that I have the right numbers here. So if I select LeBron, prop is 29.5 points. If you are like, you know what, LeBron's going over, he's going to put the dagger into the Rockets, you can put LeBron in the 5-point spot and take the over. You'll pick 5 props. You rank them 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you put your most important one at 5, your least important one at 1. And I love the idea of betting on props. It's I really enjoyed it. I did a prop contest against our colleague, Adam Scheer, and I whooped him. And he wants no part of me doing this again. So at some point in time, Adam and I are going to do a No House Advantage prop contest. I think he's scared personally, but, I don't blame him. I swept him 4-0. He had no shot. Wow. No shot whatsoever. So what I think you guys should do is sign up to play at No House Advantage. Use the promo code Awesemo. You can get $20 matched on your first deposit. But even better, if you refer a friend, you can get another $5 on their first deposit. It's something that I'm really excited to work into. I already built my NFL props into my NFL sheet for this coming Sunday. So I'm going to dive into their prop contests on Sunday. But they have contests for MLB, NBA, NFL now coming up. We've got a Showdown slate coming up in another hour and 15 minutes, NFL kicking off. But guys, No House Advantage, search for it. They have an app in the App Store. Grab the app, check it out. Highly recommended. Come play me. You don't want any part of this prop smoke.
We'll take up Josh in his challenge. I mean, one thing I could say, I haven't checked out No House Advantage. I recommend checking out new sites. Overlay is something that you should open your arms and go dive in. Helps maintain that bankroll more or less. And that's pretty promising overlay. So that's tough to beat. I know Alex has his own projections, so take advantage of those. And I know we have content as well that comes out in the morning. So make sure to keep an eye out on more No House Advantage content from the site and take advantage of new sites, learn about their new strategies, and try to create your own edge. And that'll be very helpful in your process long haul.
Yeah, being able to get into a contest that's going to overlay is the best thing that you can find in the industry. You'll find nothing better. It's impossible. Like not even trying to be funny. That's just going to be the best way for you to make some money. So highly recommend checking them out. Is there anything we haven't touched on? Is there anybody that you want to touch on that you really have your eye
on? Just pulling together this brand new crunch and whatnot and seeing what's coming around. Same. I think it's important to. It's okay to be different. I think that's what you're going to be a little different. It's okay to be a little uncomfortable on that one game slate. Create your own narrative in the story and go from there is what I'd say. Someone who did really well that first game is Alex Caruso. He hasn't played as well since then. Rondo's obviously taking more of the ball handling duties. Maybe it's a Caruso game instead of a Rondo game 2 times out. Maybe that's the story you take and you go from there. And just finding the different ways to separate yourself and go from there. Another thing is, hopefully the Markieff Morris thing pays off for me personally. I'm way over the field now, hopefully. And those are the little edges in one game slates where there aren't many on one game slates. And this is like getting late news, 15 minutes to lock is the best thing you could really ask for and take advantage of that. On FanDuel, it's a whole different game. With obviously the salary doesn't adjust when you're playing MVP or the star or pro. It's kind of, you have to hit the raw points in order. And for me, it's really hard to build a lineup in MVP without Davis, Harden, Westbrook, or LeBron. Hopefully that sometimes is usually enough to jump the field. And another thing I'd like to do is like try to get different in the sense it's probably worked out the last two times playing Davis and James in the MVP and star spot. Maybe get a little different, go Davis and Westbrook, and maybe Harden has an off game. And like just those little things can be a huge difference on that FanDuel contest. So those are some things that can happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, admittedly, I have not played a lot of the single game format on FanDuel. It's been more of a DraftKings thing. Do you have a preference between the two? Have you seen some more success on either site?
Well, I'd probably say FanDuel. It's probably my first big real hit was game one of the finals last year on that Showdown slate.
Nice.
And that kind of like elevated my like process of single game. And I enjoy playing both, but I do think just trying to find that one narrative on FanDuel, it can work out. Like I think there were times where people were playing Porter in the MVP spot, and that's taking a risk like that. Today, I don't see it. I wouldn't be willing to take a risk outside of those mega force studs, but I mean, we've seen a Covington have a huge upside game. He had a game in the first round where he had 8 stocks. So if that were to happen, there's like maybe your 1% chance that could happen. Those little things, that 1% chance can really pay off, but it's you have to be willing to take that risk. And today I'm not really willing to take that risk.
Yeah, that's fair. Got an ownership update.
Oh, God.
Markieff Morris. 3% owned in the captain spot. I think that's pretty reasonable for him.
Yeah.
39.7% owned in the utility.
Yeah, I'm going to be willing to go over the field on that.
Ben McLemore down to 21.
I'm still going to be I'm going to be under than that. So, yeah, so that's definitely seeing the field adjust to that is what we just witnessed.
Yep.
Well, how about you? Willing to go over that Markieff Morris ownership?
We're about to find out. I'm still running this final crunch up to, I don't know, 1440, 1460, 1480. So whenever that stops going up by, I'm assuming everybody's does the same thing. Does yours go up by in increments of 20 if you don't pay attention to it on Cruncher?
I've never noticed.
Yeah. So like if it's just running in the background and I come back to it, it'll only count up in increments of 20.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I've heard different theories. So it runs better when it's on the background or not on that screen, and some of it might be true and whatnot. So
I've heard rumors that it's better in like incognito mode. I definitely run it in Firefox, which seems to be better for me personally. Some people have other luck. I don't know. It all works for other people. What I really need to do is just like build like a dedicated crunching computer, but that seems excessive.
Yeah.
All right, I just finished my crunch, so we can now actually take a look at this.
All right, go ahead.
We have 11 minutes until lock. Once I get this crunch refresh, we can start taking some questions. Because I assume, there's the answer. Friend of the program, Brick, goes up by 20 for him. So I'm going to just assume either that's the standard or it goes up by 20 for the best people that use it.
Yeah, I guess I haven't noticed that. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough on Cruncher, but yeah, go ahead with the ownership.
All right, so I have refreshed. I am sorting my lineups, and interesting. So I have a little bit less AD in the captain spot now, but still he and LeBron are ruling the roost there. I now have slightly more Ben McLemore now that I didn't refresh that table. That's going to go down. I didn't refresh the ownership in my sheet, even though I told you that we have new ownership. It's not helpful at all. So I just built out some updates to my Showdown model. So things that I normally do are all over the place. Top lineup that I have, though, AD, Keefe, Jeff Green, Danny Green, Eric Gordon, LeBron James. That's a name that we haven't talked about. Eric Gordon, we have projected for very minimal ownership, even in the utility spot. Is he someone that you're paying attention to at all today?
Yeah, I mean, Eric Gordon's one of those guys who I'm more intrigued at the 9,500 price tag on FanDuel. Taking a look on FanDuel right now. Eric Gordon is going to get those mid-30s minutes, if not higher. Struggled last time out, and he's very scoring dependent. He doesn't get many other things besides scores. Maybe he'll get a few rebounds, but you're going to need him for his defense, I don't mind taking shots in Eric Gordon. 40 fantasy points is definitely possible today, if not higher. I'm definitely willing to take B over the field on Eric Gordon. I have no issues doing that.
Do we have someone projected for 0 ownership somewhere? Is that what's breaking everything that I'm trying to calculate?
Maybe Dan Mulhouse.
Shouldn't matter for me right now. Ownership. We do. Yeah, JaVale showing up in one of my random lineups at 0% ownership. I didn't build in that sort of redundancy, so now we're set.
Do you think the Lakers should start Caruso and Rondo over Kentavious Pope and Danny Green?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you want to get too cute right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they're playing pretty well. I don't think that they really need to make any wholesale changes. If they were down 2-1, I can see wanting to make a couple moves. But so far, I think we've seen that the Lakers are the better team. I wouldn't want to make any changes like that. What about you? Are you thinking differently?
No, I was just a friend had asked me that. A friend had asked me that question, and I didn't immediately say no. So I was like, I gave it some thought. So I wanted to ask you.
I do have a bit of Markieff Morris in the captain spot now.
Okay. Yeah, 12%. I do too. Yeah, I have 13. So
when great minds think alike, I like it. I like it a lot. I need to get these dummies in here. I'm going to throw out some questions if you're ready to take some. Does that work for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, is Rondo higher owned at captain than Jeff Green? I would say it's probably going to be pretty minimal for both. Rondo right now at 4%, Jeff Green at 5%. So Jeff Green slightly ahead. Do you have a preference between those two guys in a captain spot?
I'll take my chances on Jeff Green. I just don't think what Rondo has done the last 2 games is stat sustainable. And I'm a Rondo basher, so there's some personal bias that's built into that answer.
I feel the exact same way. Whenever I like Rondo, he has one of those Rondo games that are terrible. Whenever I don't like Rondo, he goes for 15, 15, and 15 or something absolutely insane. And I just feel like I'm an idiot.
I mean, playoff Rondo is definitely clearly real. I also like Jeff Green as a player. I just don't. I was just obviously dealt with the open heart surgery and whatnot, but I just think he's just a solid NBA player, and just like he's just bounced around too much where he hasn't found a decent home. Hopefully, Houston can work things out for him.
I'm not going to reward that question for being spammed, but I will reward the YouTube chat if you can get over that 100 like number. We have 473 concurrent viewers, so hit that thumbs up. You have 6 minutes to go before lock. You know what? I will reward it because I'm feeling like a nice guy. Harden or AD for FanDuel?
I'll take Anthony Davis. For me, I like obviously the block upside for Anthony Davis works out better on FanDuel. And I just think I haven't projected for more fantasy points today, and especially with McGee kind of shifting away, maybe Davis picks up a few extra rebounds at in the start of the game might work out as well.
What else do we have coming in here? Ooh, we're so close to the like number, 95 likes. We're getting there. Who's the best captain in your opinion? I have transitioned now. I actually have more LeBron than I do AD. But they are my 2 highest owned captains.
For me, it's Anthony Davis right now.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to, in terms of MVP for people who are playing on FanDuel, I have about similar amounts on MVP on FanDuel just because that's kind of how FanDuel is working out right now.
I'm curious and this is probably more just a question from me than from anybody else, but I think people will appreciate the answer. How much LeBron and AD do you have in the aggregate? Not just captain, but captain and utility combined. Because I'm just looking at what I have right now. LeBron in 90% of my lineups, Anthony Davis in 95% of my lineups. I think that's pretty much where you need to be for the most in this game. Yeah. But I am also very aggressively against James Harden and Russell Westbrook, or at least James Harden and Russell Westbrook in the captain spots.
Let me just pull that up.
I have very minimal James Harden in general in this game. Russ, I'm pretty neutral on, at least from a utility spot perspective.
Pardon me on the delayed response. Just putting together FanDuel.
No
DraftKings. So you're asking the combined ownership of.
Yeah, like how close are you? How close are you to 100% for LeBron and AD across both captain and utility? Or do you have anybody that's close to 100 or in 100?
I try to on when there's like a ton of studs. Try not to be 100%. I've noticed that's something that I've changed in my showdown process. I try to sometimes be overly aggressive when I think it's the right play. Today, I feel like you could cycle them in and out where you don't need to be all in on the studs. There would be lineups where I don't have 100%. I'm coming in around like the 80-something% mark right now. And I noticed that if this game were to blow out, it happened in the Denver series where Jokic wasn't in the best showdown lineup. And that's like, it's kind of shocking when you hear that, right? Usually showdown, Jokic is going to be in the top 3 or 4 scores more times than not.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. And that's how solo winners happen in showdown.
I just got told, Josh, tonight is the Harden game. And I didn't know that there were emojis that dab, but apparently there are. There's a dabbing emoji in the chat.
Wow. Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's it.
Producer Jordan might start hitting the dab button on quite a bit more.
No dabs, Jordan. No dabs.
But Harden can happen. I mean, he's a prolific scorer, and he's just going to have to get 40 real life points and a double-double, and there you have it. It's definitely possible. So I wouldn't shy away from saying it's a Harden night. Yeah.
All right, we have 90 seconds until lock. So one quick question again. Who is your most exposed non-stud?
Most exposed non-stud? I would probably say Jeff Green.
Okay. Oh, man, this is going to be such a weird one. And, guys, we've got NFL coming up in an hour.
Yeah.
First game of the NFL season is kicking off tonight, and it's a doozy, too. Texans, Chiefs, the champs are here today. I'll be playing some Showdown. I dropped a Showdown video earlier this morning. I'm going to have those for every single major Showdown slate. So Thursday nights, Sunday nights, Monday nights. I just realized that I'm probably going to have to do 2 of these for Monday.
Oh,
2 Monday night games on Monday, right?
There also might be a pretty big 2-game NFL slate as well. Another thing, and I played a little bit of NFL Showdown last year. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. But do you have any hot takes leading into that game? Fade Mahomes, is that a hot take?
That is not a hot take that I have. He is grading out quite well for me. Mahomes he's just on another level. And I'm going to have quite a bit of that other level in my captain spot today.
Yeah, I played some Thursday to Monday contest, and just to play Mahomes, just because I think the NFL needs this excitement. The country needs the excitement. I think Mahomes is going to put on a show.
Well, everybody, we are locked. So it is time to watch a little bit of basketball, crunch out some Showdown lineups for the NFL, get those loaded, and just have a fantastic night of NBA playoff basketball and the opening of the NFL. So for Ryan, I am Josh. Thank you for joining us. Shouts to No House Advantage for being the sponsor. Hit the like button on your way out the door if you haven't done it already. And we'll talk to you again a little bit later. Good luck tonight.